what is this that we're doing?
Yeah.
We've already gone out and we've canvassed our member federations, of which we have 214. And each one of these member federations or countries, territories, have their own unique slant at our sport, right? Because some are small and don't have as many famous sportmen or women in their countries.
Yeah.
And some, like the United States, have a plethora of famous men and women in this sport. So we needed to know at a granular level what's their perception of the sport. So with that data, we then made this global conversation. We took that data, made a survey for the masses.
Okay.
And this is different because, everybody makes a strategic plan if you're smart.
Yeah.
So you know, as a governance, where to go, as a manager, where to go. But very few actually change the system.
Yeah.
The strategic plan lives within a system. A plan like the World Plan goes outside the system to see where we can do better. So we're going to our fans, we're going to our marketing partners, we're going to the broadcasters, the media, we're going to families, governments, to find out what it is that we can do to improve our sport, to make it number one, to surpass, football and other sports like that. We can do it. We have the background to do it. We have been number one before, and we need to get back there.
One of the things about the pandemic that I've observed is the creativity in putting on what I'm calling boutique track meets, boutique elite events. And Jesse Williams in the U.S. has been putting on these 5 events, and then the guys in Texas, there's this group called the Miles of Trials. They're putting on 10 events too. And then USATF came in, and I interviewed Max a few weeks ago, and I thanked him for getting involved with Paul Doyle.
Yeah.
And I love Paul. Paul is like an evangelist for the sport. But there are times when we've got to put our best foot forward. And when USATF got involved, the first meet was difficult to watch. From then on, with Swan Garden, with Otto, and with Lewis, I think one of the best groups in the world in terms of doing commentating. You knew you were watching a track meet. ESPN had finally kind of gotten behind it. Should there be standards? What I'm asking is, even in a time of a pandemic, should there be standards of quality for how we produce things?
Well, absolutely. But before we create the standard, we got to know what that standard is, what people think, because your idea is different from my idea, and that's what I'm trying to find out right now. That's what World Athletics is trying to find out. And Larry, you know how I feel about this. I truly feel there's. I don't know how to write this because it may be going against what most people feel, but I want to be innovative. I want to try things. In order to do that, you need entrepreneurs. You mentioned Doyle. He's an entrepreneur. He's a person of vision, and he loves this sport with the passion that I do.
He's amazing. Yes, and I love the guy. I mean, I just think what he's done. When you talk to his athletes, I got to tell you. I mean, I love watching the relationships between athletes and their managers. Yeah. But when you talk to Paul's people, I mean, it's just like they are totally into it, and and that's exactly what you want. When you remember when you were competing, I mean, it just the club that you were with changed everything in the sport.
Yeah.
and you guys demanded to be treated with respect, and Joe wouldn't have it any other way. And I remember one time, this is a lesson that I learned from him. 1996, he had the woman who won the marathon trials, and I got a phone call about someone wanting to offer some money to do a little tidbit, and I thought Joe would be jumping for joy. And he goes, "Larry, that's a disrespectful amount." And I think he got the amount tripled, man. And it just was, and that was, he had chutzpah, and and Joe's always been like that, right? But he was, now all the managers that have come past since him, that's the beginning part. It's like, us dealing with Tony Campbell. I mean, I met Tony at the Runners World meet when he and I were working there, and he managed the meet, and he told me how he got in. I could never figure out how he had all the Cuban athletes. Well, when he was a little boy, his first language was really Cuban Spanish, and I love hearing him speak Cuban Spanish. It's totally cool, and it's different from like what I've experienced, like in the Midwest or California. And it's nice to see how people use their different things. So, how are you going to do this? Are you going to do like audio interviews and Zoom interviews with people, or how are you planning to talk to people?
Well, this global conversation is all online, and you need to take the survey. It's a quick survey.
Okay.
Loic, I don't know if he sent it to you or whether he can send it to you now, but just click on it and go through the survey, and you'll see what. And then, after you have a chance to take a look at the questions, then you can even give me a call back, and we can talk about whether you liked it, whether you think it's useful or whatever. I'm happy to talk about it. I think it's going to be useful for several reasons, but the one that's I think is most important is that we're going to understand much better people's perception of our sport, and we can take that perception and mold it to a benefit everyone concerned.